Representative Johanson,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise with reservations.
please proceed.
Thank you. I did want to start off by noting, and I know that I've mentioned some of these things, but I just think they bear repeating. But I did want to appreciate publicly the changes that continue to be made to the bill. I think it represents an earnest effort by our chairs and by the body to grapple with an important but complex issue in how to reduce poverty and how to uplift the worker. I think that that really needs to be applauded. I also appreciate that the House in particular is moving some other measures that I do think personally might have greater effect in uplifting people out of poverty, and so there are other mechanisms to do that, and I appreciate both of those things. With respect to this bill and why I'm rising with reservations is because I think that while this is a good faith, earnest effort, I think that we can do more and we can do other things to reduce the cost of living more broadly for a greater swath of people, not just those people on minimum wage. And I think that that requires significant commitment by our body, not just in terms of rhetoric, but also in terms of resources, because much of the most broad-based tax relief does come with significant price tags attached to it. What I worry about in particular with this measure, and I like some of the changes that have been made, specifically I think these are some difficult increments for business to weather each successive year. I'm not philosophically opposed to the minimum wage, but I do think successive increases year after year after year after year are difficult for the business to absorb. I do think because there's some regularity in the law, at least they can plan for it. But many of these businesses are small businesses, and the small business owner, like the worker, is also a person, and I think that sometimes we can forget about small business owners, particularly in this body, also as a class of people who struggle. Many of them are struggling, especially, and that's who I really have a heart for, mostly, the mom and pops, who probably are going to most struggle with this particular bill because they're operating with the least profitable margins and just trying to keep the business afloat. I worry that this bill may have some unintended consequences, either with respect to these mom and pops and their potential closure, or I worry that for the worker, any gains mandated by these increases will be offset by people shedding certain hours, still keeping people employed, because I think a lot of the moms and pops want to operate their business, they want to keep people, their staff employed, but I do think that if they can't afford the same number of hours at a higher price, naturally they will start to reduce those hours. I think that those are some significant concerns that I have. I do, again, appreciate the intent of the measure, and I don't philosophically have a problem with the minimum wage as a concept, but I think those are some very significant concerns that we need to continue to address as we consider both the Senate bill and as they consider this House bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative.